Welcome to another 5-minute tech tip with Dave Casuto and SF Tech Training. In this 5-minute tech tip, we're going to do a little quick introduction to absolute references. As opposed to what? As opposed to relative references. And namely, you're going to see that when we're working with autofill and formulas. So I want to show you kind of a relative reference and how things are going to backfire. So in a previous video, I did a lesson on autofill. Maybe some of you know about autofill, so I'm going to show you how all this works. So I'm going to multiply this number here by this number to find out what the exchange rate is. So very easily, equal sign, that times that. I hit enter. That looks fantastic, and I know about autofill, so I'm going to very easily just quickly do that, and then, whoa, I've got lots and lots of problems, right? So what's going on here? Because I did this autofill drag down, it put in each of the respective cells that was below where I started from and relatively added it on there. So what does that actually mean? So if you look at this formula, I'm doing B5 times C2, which is great. But if I go down to this one, you can see here, it's saying, yeah, that's great. B6 times, C3, and then C4, and then C5. So Excel is automatically doing a relative reference, which I do not want to do. So what I'd like to do is do an absolute reference to make it so this stays put. I like to think about absolute references, anchored references. Okay, Excel calls it an absolute reference. I like to call it an anchored reference to kind of give you a better idea of what it actually does. It's going to anchor this in one place. So let's do that again, and I'm going to show you a cool little shortcut key so we can make this happen. So I'm going to say equal sign this times this, and what I'd like to do is make this an anchored reference or an absolute reference, and I'm going to do that by just tapping the F4 key on my keyboard. All right, if you're on a Mac, I think it's just Command and then the tilde key in the upper left next to the 1. And you'll see what this does. It puts these little dollar signs around it. All right, I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to do autofill. This time, instead of clicking and dragging, I'm going to double click. It's a nice little trick for you. And then that seems to look less crazy and terrible. And you'll see I now have C2 for every single one of these. That is what an absolute reference does, as opposed to a relative reference. Okay? So you'll see that all over the place, okay? Anytime you need to just anchor one number in all throughout, you can go ahead and do that. All right, and you can see sometimes you may want to just anchor the column and not the row, and vice versa. You can put the dollar sign in front of the first part here, which is the column, or you just do the dollar sign in front of the row, depending on what you don't want repeating within that. All right, now I could easily have done it manually as well. If you don't like shortcut keys, I could very easily have done this times this and then just typed in the dollar signs in between these figures, hit enter, double click, and then there you go. Okay, but again, that shortcut key is F4 on the PC, and sometimes the F keys are used for something else, so you might have to do FN F4, and on the Mac it's just going to be Command and then tilde. All right, so that is absolute references. So hopefully that was helpful. Any questions for me or any requests, please find me on my YouTube channel and then also through my LinkedIn page, and you can also go to sftechtraining.com and you can email me that way as well. All right, see you in the next 5-minute tech tip.